Yay, I got natural lighting. Kids are getting their breakfast. I had my coffee. It's cool right now because I'm doing this early enough and I'm using natural lighting. Yay! All right, October 21st. People respond to incentives, although not necessarily in the ways that are predictable or manifest. Therefore, one of the most powerful laws in the universe is the law of unintended consequences. This applies to school teachers and realtors and crack dealers, as well as expectant mothers, sumo wrestlers, bagel salesmen, and the Ku Klux Klan. Super Freakonomics by S. Levitt and S. Dubner. In their 2 books of Freaky Facts, these authors look at why things aren't always as they appear. Results are rarely what we expect from a given set of causes. Addicts know all about unexpected and unintended consequences. Before recovery, many of us triggered tragic and unintended events by miscalculating the use of our drug of choice. In recovery, we find that the results of our efforts are quite different from anything we imagined, sometimes greater than expected. A lot is said and written about the power of intention and the importance of goals. A modicum of truth is at the root of this notion. A ton of hype has made self-actualization a self-help consumer industry. But Freakonomics research reveals what John Lennon told us years ago. Quote, life is what happens while you're busy making other plans, end quote. We and those who love us are relieved to discover that having worked the steps, we have gained the power to adapt to life, and we do it without being control freaks. We wear life like a loose garment. What are some of the unintended consequences in my life so far? Am I ready to face today with curiosity and grace? I like the am I ready to face today with curiosity and grace. I think the unintended consequences of leaving an organization that is totalitarian, being curious about life and not being afraid. I've listened to things that I never would have ever listened to had I been a fundamental Christian. I've been able to listen to people's stories and without judgment. And that really has helped me a lot because everything was so judgmental in a book written thousands of years ago. And then, of course, that was plagiarized. A lot of the stories that are in the Bible are plagiarized. It's been really a wonderful experience in that I no longer have this burden that comes with curiosity. I feel like I can put that away, that burden, that heavy burden that I had as a fundamentalist Christian, and then be able to just listen. I love it. I'm not too familiar with Freakonomics. You might be more familiar with Freakonomics, Super Freakonomics. That's interesting. I want to go and check it out. Addicts know all about unexpected and unintended consequences. Before recovery, many of us triggered tragic and unintended events by miscalculating the use of our drug of choice. Well, my drug of choice was religion. And I didn't expect, when I took my drug of choice, I didn't expect to hurt anybody. I thought that my religious beliefs I thought that they were they were fine. Like I said, I was born in, I had no idea it was gonna affect people the way it did. Even though I would go from door to door and meet other people that had no idea what I believed in, they were always kind to me. I never had anyone really be forceful and get a gun and try and kill me because of my belief system. Although I know that people have. I know that there has been experiences. I have a friend, and she had her baby, and she was behind the door, and someone was behind the door with a gun until he realized, oh, it's a woman with a baby. And then she explained who she was. So I'm sure that there are tragic consequences that come from our choices when it comes to fundamentalist beliefs. And definitely you see how it doesn't work with people inside. You see a lot of pain, a lot of the restrictions that are put on people have unexpected consequences, that being suicide. So yeah, my drug of choice was religion, and my father was affected emotionally by fundamentalist beliefs, restrictions, and so he couldn't live under those restrictions, and of course he ended his life. So I think that what I'm taking out of it for myself is that you don't realize sometimes that your choices can affect other people, and it can affect them in a negative way or a positive way. So yeah, hopefully my experiences now can affect people in a positive way when they listen to me and what I've gone through, and somehow I've been able to adapt to the outside little by little. It says we have gained the power to adapt to life, and we do it without being control freaks. I'm still learning how not to control things as much. I have a really hard time with that one because I want things to go just so, and I have to just let things flow. So I'm learning to let things flow, even though I think with me, I've seen such tragedy in my life. I just don't want to see it anymore. And there's nothing I can do about that, right? We can't stop tragedy. It just happens. And then we have to try and get through it. Learning how to lean into an anxiety attack. That is something I'm learning. Because I have to breathe right through it. It's hard. It's really hard. It's I can't even explain how difficult an anxiety attack is. Unless you're going through it, unless you've been through it, you kind of don't know what that feels like. And gratefully so. I'm glad that you've never experienced it. So I learned that my first anxiety attack was at 5 years old. And then I had another one at Bethel. Oh man, that was crazy. It was during morning worship. Oh, it was awful. And I was just visiting, and the overseer at the table wasn't there. And I had just started, everything was quiet, everybody was sitting there, and the brother starts giving his little spiel, and it just hits me like a wave, and there was nothing I could do. And I literally had to get up during that quiet period, get up and run to the bathroom, and I had to just pull out the little towels and just start patting myself all over the place just to try and keep myself from in a puddle. It was awful. Yeah, so that was my real experience. That was an amazing experience. So it was an experience. I'm glad that I got to have that experience there. I'll tell you why. I never wanted to go to Bethel. I heard too many things that were happening, and I had a friend who had just gotten married, and they had so many experiences the single men had there. when married couples would come in to the picture, and no, I didn't want that for me. So I'll put a couple of YouTube videos on self-actualization, and hopefully you will find it interesting. I did. Glad I didn't go to Bethel. Glad I didn't marry a Bethelite. Glad I married my husband, who was a bit of a rebel. I'm grateful for that. Very grateful. Unintended consequences. I didn't marry what I thought I was supposed to marry, or what was told to me, right? And my thinking. I'm glad I didn't marry someone that was the crazy one that went to the liquor store. What's his name? My brain forgets these people. Because they're awful. Man, you know what I'm talking about. I'm not gonna repeat his name. If you're not a Jehovah's Witness, it was a man who was on the higher ups and the level of top dogs, and he is just disgusting. He said, yes. The point that I'm trying to make is that he said that you have to marry a ministerial servant, somebody who's like third tier down. Ministerial servant is the one who molested my brother. He was in the tier. So yeah, so you can marry your ministerial servant and your elder and your district overseer. You're gonna have a problem. Sorry about the dog. Yes, so definitely Tony Morris. There we go. Tony Morris was the dude that said you have to marry a ministerial servant, something like that. I remember seeing or hearing that in my leaving, or in the middle of my process of leaving, and I thought, oh my goodness. They've always said that, though. They've always said to marry somebody in a position. I'm glad I didn't do that. I'm glad I didn't go to Bethel. All right. Well, I hope this helps you on your healing journey. Follow your bliss and be good humans. He's in there. Ooh, look at him. There we go. That means there's birds, there's seals, there's fish. And if there's fish, well, there's seals, and then there's sharks. They're not really afraid of human beings over here. I'm close to the shore. I don't know if you're going to see it again. They can hold their breath for quite some time.